right, hey guys, welcome back to Volume 5 of the Interactive Chat. Of course, this is a little podcasting I got going on here until PSVR Gamescast Live returns. Really appreciate everyone who tuned in to the last one. It was a lot of fun, and I got to rant about a lot of Sony marketing, Sony leadership, lots of different things. So make sure you go check that one out if you didn't already. While people start to get in here real quick, let's do a little bit of housekeeping. I'd like to thank my two new Patreons, Dark Thoughts and Looper the Game Cat. Thank you guys so much for joining the, the underground army. I don't know what to call it. But really appreciate the support, guys. And, whether you support me here on patreon.com/PSVR Underground or over on PSVR Without Parole, it's all going towards the same cause, which is we can bring you daily PSVR goodness, which we hope to do one day. What is up? Blue, Drew, the Underground Game Cat, Mark Smith, ET.2K9.now, Guy Son, Charlie Dawson, Space Dennison, Seymour Spooky, Scary Game Shrimps, and everybody else jumping in. Nick Mulo, Nihilus Ryan. Good to see everybody. We've got a lot of awesome PSVR news to go over today. It's going to be kind of more of a traditional episode, blasting through the news, blasting through a couple discussions. Going to do a quick review on the Ghostbusters Afterlife thing made in Dreams that I got to play earlier, which was pretty cool. So without further ado, by the way, for everyone else, thank you to the Patreon leaders, Cynthia and Josh. Really appreciate your contributions to the channel, and everyone else as well, of course. And I'll try to figure out how to make one of those little fancy smancy scrolls or something. Yeah, man. Before we get started, let me tell you a quick story. When I was really little, but PlayStation was out. I guess I was kind of little. I used to read a lot of video game magazines, and that's kind of where, obviously the inspiration for PSVR Underground came from. That's part of it. Also, there's the Underground Atlanta. I'm based out of Atlanta, Georgia. And one of the funny things that I always think about is that when I was like 11 or something, or 13, I don't remember. I was too young to work. I used to apply to different video game developers as a tester all the time, and was like, man, wouldn't that just be like the dream come true? And then, of course I got denied. I got ignored. Never heard back from a single one. Looking at you, Squaresoft. But one thing that's been really cool about doing this thing as a content creator now is like I get to actually work with developers and try to give them feedback. We have the most wonderful community that's already like so many people in here. And it's pretty amazing, man. So really special, really lucky to be where I am, and just can't thank you guys enough, man. Natty, what's up? Says Atlanta won, AJ. Congratulations to the Atlanta Braves, dude. That is super cool. I love, I used to love a lot of sports, but when you're in Atlanta, you don't really, you love sports. The Braves have been our most successful thing, but our most successful team. But Atlanta sports are generally cursed, so I did my part in not watching a single one. All right, guys, but it is time. We are here to talk about PSVR, and I am super excited. And we're going to kick things off with an update coming to my current game of the year, and that is Song in the Smoke. Yes, that's right. Song in the Smoke. Which I've got the platinum in. I've absolutely loved this game. One of my moderators, Nick Mulo, has the first platinum trophy for this game out of anybody. So that's really cool. I love the fact that Game Cats are the ones that are piling up first on the platinum trophy leaderboard, or whatever you want to call it. Super cool. But Song in the Smoke, absolutely amazing game. Hopefully you all picked it up. I know at least 89 people from my friends list have. And it is getting a major update at some point. I don't know when just yet. But they are going to be including new difficulty levels. which is something that's going to be huge. And, you know, after we had Jake Kasdal, who's an amazing dude, and I could just listen to that dude talk all day about his stories and whatnot. If you didn't get a chance, make sure you go check the Gamescast Live where we had him on there. But yeah, they are going to be adding that, and it's going to, you know, probably make the weather more intense, the status ailments more intense, and all sorts of things. So once you finish the game, like, you still want to keep playing it. So difficulty modes, any end game content they can do to this is going to be sweet. And Braxbro says, I thought Hitman 3 was your game of the year. It's so close, man. It's so close. It's really, for me, my game of the year right now is between Song in the Smoke and Hitman 3. They're like so neck and neck. The reason I give Song in the Smoke a slight edge is because Hitman 3 used the DualShock, and Song in the Smoke is actually built from the ground up for VR. That does not really take a whole lot away from Hitman 3 for me, as much as it just means that Song in the Smoke is better. It's kind of like the Resident Evil 7 versus Saints and Sinner argument. It's really hard to compare, like, because one could be a better game. Like, do you judge better game or judge better by immersiveness, by fun, by, you know, content? All those things factor into it. And I think right now I still got to give the slight edge to Song in the Smoke. But Hitman 3 is absolutely incredible, and I love that they continue supporting the game with all sorts of updates. I'll tell you what, though. When Hitman 3 gets a PSVR 2 remaster and has the orbs, that is going to be a huge game changer. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Orbs, baby. That's what I'm talking about. Yes. Oh, these feel so good right now. You have no idea. But yeah, I think Hitman 3 will get orbs and will be absolutely amazing remastered. It'll be super cool. So yeah, Song in the Smoke update coming soon, or coming, you know, whenever. And I'm really, really excited about that one. Now let me tell you something else. And that is, I want you all to close your eyes. I want you to close your eyes and just imagine this. You unlock this door with the key of imagination. Beyond it is another dimension, a dimension of sound, a dimension of sight, and a dimension of mind. You're moving into a land of both shadow and substance, of things and ideas. You've just crossed over into the Twilight Zone. That is right. The Twilight Zone VR was just announced recently, and it is coming from Fun Train Interactive, or Fun Train Studios. And this was a total surprise and super cool, though. And there's some interesting tidbits about this that actually that make it even cooler. I'm sure there's lots of you that are fans. I see Blue Jew is a fan of is a fan of Twilight Zone, and it's funny. I'm a fan of Twilight Zone, but I struggle to remember a lot of the episodes. I remember I remember the William Shatner one where he's on the plane, because I actually just kind of watched that somewhat recently. But then I also, the main one I remember is the dude that's like walking around and like he's like always wanting to read, and he just kind of wishes like the world would go away so that he can just do nothing but read. And then like at the end of it, he, spoiler alert for Twilight Zone, he his glasses break or whatever, and then he's like stuck on the world and can't read any more books. I mean, you know, realistically, he could probably go find another pair of glasses that would work somewhere. But yeah, man, welcome to everyone else who's joining, by the way. Good to see all of you. Love you guys. Thank you so much. Vargosoft says, all my favorite Twilight Zone episodes are the Outer Limits episodes. Well, this is, what up, GC13? This is the thing about this. So this game, this is from the official press release that came from Fun Train. And yes, these are the people that made Tarzan VR. They didn't do the port, but they made the game. But usually with licensed stuff like this, I don't know. I mean, that Tarzan had to be licensed, right? But they said, based on the award-winning television anthology, the Twilight Zone VR will feature 3 self-contained single-player episodes at launch and span multiple genres ranging from psychological horror to science fiction. Both of those things I really like. And I do think this is a kind of an interesting fit for VR. I don't know how this is going to end up, but I hope it's good. This is where I both get a little bit of hope from this game, is that they say the Twilight Zone features contributions by gaming veteran Rob Yescombe. That's our Farpoint dude, man. Rob Yescombe, he wrote the story for Farpoint. He wrote the story for Invisible Hours, also Rhyme back in the day. And Farpoint and Invisible Hours are my 2 favorite stories told in VR. I'm usually a gameplay first kind of guy, but to have that dude doing this. Now, this is the thing, though. He did chime in and said, oh, he's just dabbled with this game. He didn't actually do like a whole bunch of stuff, but he also mentions screenwriter Dwayne Alexander Smith, who did 40 Acres, and there's a couple other people that are working on this project as well. But I'm just, anytime I hear Rob Yescombe, I love this dude. He's so cool, and he just understands, like, everything he writes is like, it feels like it's tailor made for me. Farpoint, like I said, the characters, he always has really good character development, really strong characters. So I'm hoping that's a similarity in this game that we find. So this is scheduled to be released early 2022. I'm guessing it's going to be planned for like first quarter, but that's not official. But it does sound like they are really close to release. There'll be like a closed beta and stuff for all you PCVR people. And I'm really excited for this. I do think it could be a good fit, like Shades of Grey Matter says, but we won't know until we play it. Some of these things it's always hit or miss. So I would have your temper your expectations a little bit, but it's okay to be excited as well. I just wouldn't expect anything super crazy good. But I'll have to wait and play it. Give it a fair chance. David the Game Cat Run says, Farpoint story made me sad. Why? Why did this Farpoint? It was so amazing, man. It always has like a twist to it. And Rob Yescombe also did, I'm turning this whole Twilight VR conversation into just a Rob Yescombe shrine. But he deserves it, man. He's my favorite writer for VR games. I really hope he continues to do more VR games because, like I said, this dude just gets me from a storytelling standpoint. But yeah, so we should be expecting that early 2022. Excited? I'm excited. Next up, we recently saw this Quest 2 announcement stuff that was going on, this metaverse, whatever it was, the metaverse presentation talking about their plans for the future. During that time, one of the things that was announced was Blade and Sorcery, which I haven't played myself. But Blade and Sorcery, for those who don't know, this is just from the Steam page. It says, Blade and Sorcery is a built-for-VR medieval fantasy sandbox with full physics-driven melee, ranged and magic combat. Become a powerful warrior, ranger, or sorcerer to devastate your enemies. And it's basically a sandbox arena combat game that the closest thing that we have to it is Swordsman VR, of course. And it's pretty similar. And yeah, so this is what's cool about this game is that they have been, of course, really successful with it. It's one of the most anticipated games. I'm ready for this to always be like, when is Blade and Sorcery coming out? But essentially, they have expressed interest after the show. They did a whole article that they did about the announcement, and during this, they had a section that was where they asked about PlayStation VR, and they basically said that, they never brought this game to PSVR 1 mainly because of the controllers. They had a lot of problems with the controllers. A lot of people have in the past. It wasn't always the PS4 hardware of the GPU and CPU that was a limitation, but it was sometimes the Move controllers that straight up just developers couldn't find a fun solution and didn't think it was worth their time. But they basically posted in this update, they said, how about PSVR 2? I heard the controllers are on par with PC, because this comes right after their explanation of why it wasn't included, or why a PSVR version never came out. And they say, indeed, the controllers are much, much better than PSVRs. And they're talking about PSVR 2. We are really excited about PSVR 2. PS5 performance is also on par with PC, which means in theory we could port the PC version of Blade and Sorcery without much difficulty, and possibly even without compromising graphics at all. Now, this is the thing. If it can run on Quest, of course it can run on a PS4. So that's kind of a given. But they also say it's still too soon to make any announcements, but we are interested in porting Blade and Sorcery on PSVR 2 as soon as it's possible for Sony. But for now, let's just say we will see, and no promises. Haha, you know how we roll. So one thing that is holding back a lot of developers probably from making a ton of their real announcements, although you'll see today we have an exception here, is that they haven't officially announced PlayStation VR 2 yet. And so a lot of stuff is probably still under NDA. There's certain things that only a limited amount of people know. Stuff like when they're planning on releasing it, all sorts of different things like that. What potential games, and so they sound like a very PR kind of thing right here, where it's like, they're expressing interest. They're basically not allowed to say, or don't feel comfortable saying it. And this goes kind of hand in hand with that same day, with that when we've talked about this Grand Theft Auto San Andreas discussion, where I still haven't seen them confirm that it's an Oculus exclusive, and a lot of people replied to me with, well, here it is, and it's a bunch of and it's the developers or Oculus responding to people asking if it's in development for Quest 2 only, or if it's Quest and PC, and they're saying Quest 2 only, in regards to it being that it's not going to be Quest 1 or PC VR. Oculus Quest can't go in and announce that it is in development for PSVR 2, because most people are not allowed to say that. PSVR 2 hasn't even been announced. You don't even know what the name's going to be yet officially. Everything, once again, we've gotten the announcement that it's going to exist. We've seen the controllers, the beautiful controllers. Let me throw them up here again real quick. The orbs, yes, they are nice. I got to move a little bit. And then that's it. So we are still waiting on an official announcement from Sony. And then once that happens, which we're expecting to happen in December, then people can start saying, yes, this is in development for it or not. But yeah, Blade and Sorcery is supposed to be really good. It has a huge community around it, so I'd imagine it has something to offer here. And I think video game physics are really important for VR. I think that's one thing that Saints and Sinners taught us the most, is that physics add to the immersion. And that's what separates a game like Swordsman with Until You Fall for me, is like Swordsman, they actually simulate weight and all sorts of things. Until You Fall, maybe not the best example, but this was one of the first games to kind of introduce like physics, weighty combat. But like I said, there's been examples. This is why games like Saints and Sinners, games like Swordsman, even Golem and a couple other games, this is why they were so special to me, because that feeling of that when there's the illusion that it is heavy or that there is some weight to the combat, it is super, super satisfying. And this is like one of the OG VR physics-based combat games. So super, super cool. VR Grid says Rage Room. No. The fact that you even bring that up, Ryan, breaks my heart. All right, so before we move on to the next topic, of course, want to try to keep up with as many comments as I can and interact with you guys as much as possible. Abstract Creation says, hey, man, do you think we'll get a Paper Beast sequel anytime soon, or at least a story-driven game in the same vein? I'm not sure. I wouldn't really put my money on it because I don't think Paper Beast was like, it wasn't like a doorbuster kind of game. It wasn't selling a bunch. A lot of the times what sparks a sequel is a game being massively successful and having lots of, just community rally behind the game and things like that. And, there were certain things, like I said, I actually have a review on Paper Beast, and there are certain things that I absolutely adore about the game. Eric Chahi and his style that he's always brought, from Another World to Heart of Darkness, which is one of my personal favorite games of all time. And that game, it's got some of that magic in it, but as a game, the way it flowed, the pacing, some of the puzzles, it was teleport, click, turn only, which was killer for me. But there's a lot of things to like about that. And speaking of physics, I think that is a game that has underrated physics as well. That sandbox creator mode in Paper Beast is really something cool, physics-based wise. Really, really cool. But yeah, let's see. Bruce Kill says the Persistence 2 would be great for PSVR 2. I agree. How about just Persistence Remastered? I play it again. I love all this PSVR talk. I'm happy to talk about PSVR 2 because likely we are maybe a month and a half away from getting the official showcase, the big announcement we've been waiting for. And, by then it's going to be, we're not going to have as much to speculate on. So now is the time for us to start speculating about PSVR 2. Maybe Friday we'll talk about the things we want to see most and just have some fun because I think there's a lot of stuff. Speaking of which, I did a poll for PSVR 2 earlier, and I asked Twitter, and I asked, what besides games, what features are you most excited to see? And 54.5% voted that they want to see the headset and controller design most. So people they just want to see it, but I included other stuff. The next thing that got 32.5% was the interactive UI. I mean, that is to me one of the things that's most exciting is that, imagine your PlayStation home screen, and instead of, pressing over and over and over and then click, it's going to be something maybe we could just potentially reach out and grab or touch and to open settings. And if I've learned anything is that from the difference can be pretty stark. There can be a drastic difference here. And it is actually easier in some cases. No Man's Sky comes to mind that flipping through all the menus, having to go down, 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 over and over and over. And it's like, no, I can literally just reach out, point to what I want, and click it, and then it actually makes it a little bit easier to use. So the other things that I included were services like movies and TV, which got third at 9%. I'm again, maybe we'll get into this later about features we want to see, but I really think there's a huge opportunity for Sony to basically have their a movie service, a movie theater service or something, we had that game that was called like the last video store that was supposed to come out. And, you know, you'd have to imagine that is in development at some point or going to release at some point. So I'm really hoping that does, because we need some kind of movie watching solution. Again, I don't go to the movies as much anymore, but I would love to do it. I'll pay to go and watch movies with you guys. It would be super cool. And I'm really looking forward to that last video store thing. The last thing that got the lowest amount of votes was themes. The good news there is that I think themes are going to be a given. I think it's going to absolutely – that has to make a return with VR. I went on a whole rant Wednesday or Monday. You can go check it out. But about a bunch of missing features that got changed. They like to take away features and bring them back. All right, so our next story is a new game that is it's an early access game that is supposed to be coming out, but it was announced and they said they have plans for PSVR 2, and it's called The Bounds VR. And I'm throwing up the trailer right now so you can take a look at it. Now, keep in mind, it looks very, very early. It is definitely still early in development, although it's showing some promising things that it has. But it's by Build the Light Studio, and they're talking. It looks like it's horror based, and they've been working on this game for quite some time now, and basically it says that you will be exploring a mansion. This all sounds familiar. It's based in Louisiana. Oh yeah, gonna get some Cajun food. They say explore a huge mansion in New Orleans, solve puzzles, my favorite, and fight a deadly opponent. But don't worry, you have a lot of possibilities, including paranormal powers and telekinesis. Everything running in real time from the early prototype. So, yeah, it's funny. We just had Wraith the Oblivion Afterlife, which just came out, and you know, we didn't give it the best review, but there were things I liked about it. But yeah, this one is early, but it's looking pretty, looking like it could have some pretty good, promising things about it. I don't know. I want to see what you guys think about it. Bruce Kill says this game looks great. David the Game Cat Run says Dolby, Louisiana. But yeah, it's got some cool looking things. It looks like it's got some cool atmosphere, some decent graphics, and yeah, it does sound a lot like Wraith, as Ryan from the VR Grid says. But again, another game we're probably waiting for a. We got to wait till PSVR 2 gets Sony gets more dev kits out, because they are still in the process. Although we know of tons of devs receiving them, they said they've been going out ever since they made that announcement. What was it, back in March that we saw? But I like here that you see some interactive items. I like that there's a world that you can interact with. That's super, super important. E.T. likes what he sees so far. But they don't show a whole lot of gameplay, just a couple things. But again, VR, there's going to be room for all sorts of different types of experiences when it comes to VR. I don't think every single thing has to be a DualShock game. Orbs game. But, typically that's what makes VR stand apart. And I think what makes VR games special is that they can do that non-VR games can't do when they can do stuff that isn't. Peace -1. I have not talked about the first confirmed launch title for PSVR, but we will get into that pretty soon. Yeah, Secret Stuff says this is the closest I'm going to get to New Orleans. Going in, you need to play you some Saints and Sinners, free on PlayStation Plus. If you guys haven't yet, go download Saints and Sinners, The Persistence, and Until You Fall. All excellent games, and was a really nice gesture to get those. And yeah, hopefully you've picked them up. I want to know if anybody's playing those for the first time. That'd be wonderful to see if there was anything you had missed. And see if you're checking it out. But all right, so this is going to be entering like early access. This is early footage. Looks pretty and looks pretty cool and looks a lot like Wraith the Oblivion Afterlife. But all right, so moving on. Let's see. While we transition here, PPO Kojima says, "Isn't Pavlov Shack the game that said they would launch on PSVR 2, or is it another game?" Pavlov has said that. I think they said that they are going to bring the game to PlayStation VR 2. There are a couple games. Now, launch is a different story. Launch titles, we have not heard a single thing. We have heard a couple people confirm that they are working on PSVR 2, and Pavlov is one of those games. But I think by the time that gets to us, there might be some stiffer competition for that, and might be a lot more competition. You know, we could have a Call of Duty, or potentially like a Firewall 2 or Alvo 2 or Alvo Remastered or something. And so there's going to be a lot of competition. I haven't played Pavlov myself, but obviously it's one of the few remaining online active games that gets lots of chatter. And typically, it's like one of those where there's smoke, there's fire things. When there's lots of people talking about it, when these games develop a really strong community, then they do typically tend to last a little bit longer. What up, Wes? Wes from Virtual Strangers in the house tonight. My dude, good to see all of you guys, man. Really happy to see you guys. Thank you so much for joining. Old Dart says, "Remember to breathe." It's hard, man. It is hard doing this by yourself. Let me tell you, I miss the hell out of Brian. He is on vacation this week, but we'll be back soon. There was a lot of preparation for this. I've been preparing for the show for the last 2 hours. It is crazy, man. So many trailers, so much stuff. At least we're getting news, though, right? It's a good problem to have when we have so much stuff to talk about. I didn't even have room for everything. I had to get rid of some stuff. Kyle Necht, thank you so much for the donation, my friend. I really appreciate you, dude. So moving on, another little, we got one more little quick thing I want to bring up here. Another poll that I ran was so we talked about, I think on Gamescast last week, maybe it was Friday, that Vertigo Games announced 5 new games in development that are being helped with funding and deals with Oculus. But they came out and said that those games are not exclusive, and that one of them is actually a game from Deep Silver, at least one of them. Thank you, Shades. And thank you, Killer Cell, baby. It's Killer Cell. But anyways, Deep Silver, for those who don't know, they are the developers behind Saints Row, Metro series, Dead Island, and like Time Splitters. And then they have this other space game that I'm just not really familiar with. But yeah, so I did a poll asking which one would you like to see the most, and Metro actually won. And to me personally, when I first saw this announcement, Metro was actually the game that came to mind first. It was actually a nice surprise. I don't know, like, if many of you ever played Metro before, but it's like a dark, story-driven, really gritty, post-apocalyptic first-person shooter with like aliens and stuff. Think like kind of like Resistance in a way. But I think it would be a great fit. So appreciate everybody that voted on that poll. Neon Group says Dead Island was my jam. I just started, so that, it's not completely out of the realm of possibility that Dead Island or one of these, they haven't confirmed which one they're going to be working on. I did play, like I said, I have PlayStation Now, and I did play some Dead Island. I only dabbled with it back in the day. I think I picked up from one of my friend's saves and just ran around the world. And it would be a cool fit. That open world would be so much fun to roam around. But there's two things that I'm like, I don't know if this would work. And number one, the speed of that game is so fast. Like when you run from zombies, the sprint speed, it is like you're Superman. You are like Superman fast. It is, or the Flash, I should say. You are super fast in that game. Also, the cutscenes kind of shake themselves a bunch, and they're also god awful. But the game itself is really, really good. So I could see it. I could see it working from the open world exploration game loop. That part would be good. But I'm gonna put my money on Metro here. Although a part of me does want Time Splitters 2, like redone in VR. All right, so moving on to the next story. First, we've got the VR Grid with his Canadian funny money. It says, "Hire Brian." Thanks, man. We've also got Abstract Creation with the $5 donation. Thank you guys so much, man, for all the support. Appreciate you, whether you're here now, later, donating, or listening while you work. Want to help you get through your work week. I forgot to mention it was Hump Day. Happy Hump Day. PSVR Theater would be amazing. We would be able to mute the crowd if we wanted. Yes, that would be a nice feature. And also, no one would have to fight for the best seat. Yes. Yeah. I typically, whenever I go to the movies, if I try to be the first person there, and I like to sit like kind of in the middle. You don't want to go all the way in the back because then you can't see the movie. Well, unless you're up to some other things in the movie theater, then the back is great. But if not, yeah, get a little closer. Get like front middle. That's the best spot right there. I would love a PSVR Theater. That'd be great. They'd have to say it just like that. Let's see. Mark Smith says, "I enjoyed Dead Island, but I really liked Dying Light." Is Dying Light the parkour thing? Is that like the parkour one? Because I think I played some of that too. There's like a couple zombie games that I get like so confused about, or I get them like crisscrossed all the time. But yeah. And yeah, to everyone else saying, I should get somebody else on here. Yeah, I would love to. It takes me so much time just to get this set up. You guys are my special guest, which is why I'm trying to go through. But it does make it tons easier to have somebody else and do this and try to keep up with comments. Sacred Grove says, "After the Fall is already our multiplayer zombie game. I don't think they'll have two similar games." That's a good point. That is actually another good point. If Vertigo Games did make Dead Island, it would kind of maybe cannibalize their sales of After the Fall. Although it's probably like different ways out, but that is actually a very good observation for sure. Maybe, but again, their first game was Arizona Sunshine, and now they're making After the Fall, another zombie game. So who knows? Maybe that's like they could do it because they only know how to make zombie games. What's up, Mike Check, Zach Attack, all you guys? Yeah, lots of love for Dying Light. I have to. It sounds like. Ooh, Dead Space. Oh, yes. That would be great. There's a lot of these games that are getting remastered, too. And since we know Sony is going to have this focus on hybrid games, it'll be very interesting. All right. So before we get on to the main event, we'll get on to the co-main event. I want to do a quick review of the Ghostbusters Afterlife, which just came out today. For those who don't know, Ghostbusters Afterlife is a new Ghostbusters movie that's coming out and looking pretty good so far. People seem to be really excited about it. I think it looks pretty good. It's definitely one of those kind of trying to do something for the old and also introducing the new generation to Ghostbusters. So we'll see what happens. It's got the kid from Stranger Things and the It movies and a full other cast. Well, Media Molecule has teamed up with Ghostbusters and Sony Pictures to bring us Ghostbusters Afterlife, the Dreams game. And I got to play this a little bit earlier. I'll go ahead and throw on some gameplay real quick. But I'm happy to say, guys, that we finally got a good VR Ghostbusters game. Now, there's a catch to this. But I've been wanting so bad a Ghostbusters game that used aim support, And because of all of us, this is why having a community and being vocal is so important. When VR support dropped, all of us, a lot of you, myself included, a lot of Reddit, a lot of the VR community rallied together and filled out a request to add aim support to Dreams. And because of this game was designed with the DualShock in mind, but when you play it in VR, it actually uses motion tracking with the DualShock 4, but because of our efforts to be vocal and make a change, and we did, this game also supports the aim controller, so you get to play Ghostbusters with the aim controller. And let me tell you, man, there's one disappointing thing about this game, and that it is super short. It is literally a minute long when you start the gameplay. You have 1 minute to clear out these like a Slimer looking dude. There's mini puffs, which are like mini Stave Puff Marshmallow Men. There's the demon dogs. I forget, terror dogs is what they call them. But on the surface, it's very simple. It's not huge. However, Genetic Blasphemy says, "Hooray us!" Yes, indeed, hooray us! And I hope we can continue to make these changes in the future, for good. But yeah, so it looks great. It plays great. It is only a minute long, which is incredibly disappointing. However, you can replay it a bunch of times. I was first on the leaderboard earlier. My first runs, I got like 30,000 points. When I played it over and over and over, there was new techniques I was developing, and lots of things, little tricks that I was discovering. But what makes this cool is it's very simple, it's very short, but it's actually pretty badass, and it's really, really immersive with the aim controller. Really immersive. And that's because when you shoot the proton pack at one of the creatures or whatever, one of the Slimer looking ghosts, you actually have to pull left and right, and that adds, again, something that you can only do in VR. Like, you're physically pulling this ghost, and it gave me that experience, that feeling with the immersion of it, that was like I was really wrestling with this ghost to try and get it into the little trap thing, the ghost trap. And it's super cool. You guys have to check this out. Play it a couple times. I know it's short, but play it over and over a few times. And it is, like, I'm telling you, man, I would love for them to double down on this. And this is something, speaking of being vocal, this is something that I want to be vocal about, and see if we can maybe get the Ghostbusters video game remastered on a next-gen port. I would love to create enough demand, show that there is enough demand to bring that, because that was like a spiritual successor to the Ghostbusters movies. It was the reason I bought a PS3. I kept using my friend's PS3. When that Ghostbusters video game came out, I like went and dropped the money and had to get it. It was super good, and I think it could be converted to VR with a little bit of work, and that's something I really hope to see. If not, shit, I'll take a damn Afterlife. Ghostbusters Afterlife game, whatever. I don't really care. What I can tell you is that it was an absolute blast playing this with the aim controller, and I highly recommend you give it a try because it was super cool. And Ghostbusters is like, man, I'll tell you what, nostalgia and VR is a hell of a drug. It is really, really cool. And just the nostalgia hits hard in VR. It is something else, man. That's why, eventually we're going to get to the point to where it's like we just want new games, new experiences. But before we get there, let's get there by like PSVR 3 or 4. We need a gen, possibly this one, where we get to experience some of our favorite video games in a new light in VR and relive those experiences from a new angle, because it's dope. It is super cool. But yeah, I'm actually surprised there haven't. Yeah, Sacred Grove says Ghostbusters of VR, or Ghostbuster of VR no brainer. You would think so, but we got two little awful experiences before that you have to pay for, and they were like movie promotion tie-ins for the other one, and those games were just bad. They were absolute just like little. They were kind of just tech demo cash grabs that were really crappy. This is not that. This is short. But it's actually really, really fun and cool. And yeah, I highly recommend it. So awesome stuff. Make sure you go check it out. I was just playing Dreams last night. I actually am working on a new list for a top Dreams list. There's a lot of games, man. Dreams hasn't even hit its full potential yet. It's really gonna take off at some point, and I think it'll probably get a PSVR 2 remaster, and when people can design with the orbs and have the full unlocked GPU and CPU of the PS5, man, we are gonna just gradually, just over time, we're just gonna start seeing these amazing games come out. X Delirium says, I got sick of Dreams. The thing about Dreams is that there's so many games. It's a lot of work to find all the good ones, but they're there. You just have to do it, or wait for one of us to go in and find them for you and help you out. I've already got a full list coming pretty soon that's in the works, and this Ghostbusters game will absolutely be something I mentioned in that list. Ultimate Let's Go Sports Team GameCat says multiplayer will take Dreams to another level. Dude, I didn't even think about that right now. That is another thing. Dreams will definitely get a major boost when multiplayer comes as well. I imagine it'll turn into something like Rec Room. And they just got to keep feeding the Media Molecule created content. That's what I want to see. So, Delirium says, I'm a creator and I'm tired of spending months on making a game then hardly get any plays. Yeah, I know what you mean, man. It's hard when you dedicate everything to it, and you just gotta, and also send me your dream. I'll go check it out for you. I get a lot of, I don't know. I just kind of stumble upon stuff, and I try to spread the words. I do features on different games, Dreams games all the time. Michael Lara says, could you do a quick explanation on what Dreams is? Gladly. I'll make this quick. Dreams is a creation tool set. If you remember Little Big Planet when it came out, it was a great platformer, but there was a thing that actually lets you make your own little platformer levels. When the second Little Big Planet came out, it was better, but it was still very limited. Media Molecule, the team behind them, has made a full built from the ground up creation tool set that you can go in and create your own games. It's basically having like endless mods, endless creation tools. And when I say you can build anything you want in Dreams, you can. It's very time consuming, and obviously you don't get paid for it or anything. So it takes time, but there's tons of games that are constantly coming out for it. Maybe not constantly coming out, but there are a lot of games for it. And Delirium, you made Ure the Sacred Bells. Oh, I played the shit out of Ure the Sacred Bells, and I loved that game. That's right. That's where I recognize your name from. Yeah, man, I loved Ure. It's dope as hell, man. It was like playing a PS1 game in VR, a PS1 survival horror game. Yeah, Fatal Frame inspired. Yeah, super cool, man. I loved it. We're definitely fans. My co-host that I usually podcast with also streamed it at one point, and definitely a big fan. So, guys, but that's enough about Dreams for now, because we will be talking about Dreams lots more in the future, most likely. It is time to talk about the first ever confirmed PlayStation VR 2 game, launch game, I should say. Sorry, I think Runner by Truant Pixel is the first game. But yeah, and that is Samurai Slaughterhouse. This is a game we knew was coming to PlayStation VR 2. It has been in development for a while. They released an Everything You Need to Know video, which we're going to break down and do a deep dive on because we got more and more info. We got more info on Samurai Slaughterhouse today, and it is looking awesome. Really, really excited. Before we get into the new details, the facts about it, Neon Groove says, katanas, you bet your ass there's going to be katanas in it. Tab Games, Justin over there from Tab Games, talked about, he posted on Reddit earlier and said that this is going to be a launch title, and basically said Sony already approved the game through, he said Sony already approved the GDD for the game and made me a PlayStation partner. Any devs in the chat, can you tell me what GDD means? Is that game development or something like that? Game development something? I would really appreciate if any devs are in the chat and can tell me what GDD means. But it says they are partnered. They are officially partnered with PlayStation. And they said, they basically followed up and said, I also have the publishing deal in place to have the game as a launch title. So they have not only partnered with PlayStation, but they have it already. It's been inked, and it is now set in stone that it will be a game designer. Now, he does clarify and says he has not gotten his PSVR 2 dev kit yet. However, the process that he's needed, he's basically saying, so at this point, the only thing we can do is run performance and compatibility on the PS5 dev kit. He does have a PS5 dev kit. He does not have his PSVR 2 dev kit just yet. But I imagine he'll probably be getting one pretty soon. He should, because this game looks really, really awesome. Says, so at this point, the only thing we can do is run performance / compatibility on the PS5 dev kit. So when we get the dev kit with the HMD and controllers, the only thing remaining will be remapping the controllers and the telemetry, hopefully. So, game development deal, says Virtual Strangers. Yeah, maybe that's what I believe. That would make sense. But, all right, so this is a physics-driven action combat adventure, story-driven action adventure with light RPG features. And, I'll tell you what, VR needs, even though it's not an RPG, a full RPG, VR needs games with RPG mechanics in it, something to grind a little, something to get a little bit. It's probably not going to be deep on that, which is fine. But it has a manga inspired open world, and you can interact with NPCs that will give you quests. This is a lot of stuff from the breakdown video today, and this video I'm playing up here in the corner is the latest video footage they've shown of the game. So there is a quest system in this game. The quest will range from delivering to escort missions, our favorite, right? Collecting ingredients from fallen enemies. Basically, put a target on a guy and go kill him, and he'll give you special quest items that you'll have to get from. So a good way to kind of introduce boss fights or special fights, special enemies to go and get. And Sacred Grove says, come on, Final Fantasy. I would kill for a VR Final Fantasy game. I would love, especially that MMO. But anyways, back to this. These NPCs, once you help them, they can actually assist you and fight for you. And the game consists of a bunch of factions. And there's a bunch of enemies that range from human to like samurais, to demons, to monsters. There's all sorts of variety of enemies, which is pretty cool. I love that because when you introduce monsters and whatnot, it kind of mixes up the gameplay. It mixes up the variety a little bit, so that's super cool. Happy birthday, Dark Angel! Happy birthday to you. I don't know if it's actually your birthday, but happy birthday. Welcome. Thank you for joining. Thank you all for being here. All right, so more on this. It is physics-based combat, and there is a variety of weapons. There's going to be there's a parrying system where you can parry and then counter by attacking weak spots. This is all the stuff, everything they've said from this breakdown video is all stuff I love to hear. I love that it's open world. The art style is beautiful. I love that there's tons of interactive NPCs, makes the world feel a little bit more alive. I love that there's different weapon sets. And of course, like we discussed earlier, I love that it is physics-based combat, sword fighting. And Nihilus Ryan says this is straight up Red Steel VR. Oh, yeah, man. But yeah, I love the creatures, the art design, all this stuff. I think this is another case of the controllers holding back what this ever coming to PSVR, or it's just too late in the PSVR life cycle to begin right now porting a game to PSVR. Seems like it would be something you at this point, developers are going to start targeting PSVR 2. That's just the smarter decision this late in the life cycle. Generic, you demand. You're all demand. Thank you for being here. But there's more, guys. So not only is it action adventure with countering system, physics-based combat, there is a stealth option as well. So kind of channel your inner Arashi and get to attack some stealth with some stealthy mechanics there, which is pretty cool. Now on top of this, since we're on the gameplay still, there are power-ups and abilities as well. And like they say in this video, as you go through and complete quests in this game, it'll actually unlock it'll unlock more of the map for you to explore. So like I said, everything they're saying about this game, and you can just look at it and see how freaking cool it looks. It seems like it's going to be a blast to play. So, and I like how there's some kind of dialogue system that they show where you're kind of pointing and clicking on different things and whatnot. And I love the contrast, how it's mostly black and white, but then there's these pink, different cherry blossoms and whatnot that really pop because they're the only thing in color. And then of course there's the blood. Really cool art direction here. I'll be interested to see what kind of weapons, what kind of power-ups and abilities you get. That's going to be something exciting. Now, finally, this was something that was surprising. I thought was really interesting. In this game, you can unlock homes to store weapons, but not only that, you can decorate them as well. So you can actually get a home that you can use to store additional items, maybe stuff you don't want to get rid of, and then you can also decorate your place. So I don't know what that means exactly yet, what that entails, but it'd be really, really cool if I don't know, if I could have on one side of the room a demon head on a stake that is like a trophy, which it did say actually something about a trophy, so maybe that's possible. And then on the other side, a zen little waterfall. And then some bamboo. I want some bamboo too. All this cool stuff. But yeah, guys, so this game is confirmed as a PSVR 2 launch title. Looks really, really awesome. Of course, when it comes to the launch, there's a lot of games. If this is what an indie game looks like at launch, it just adds to my excitement. Because I love AAA games. I love indie games. I love smaller studio stuff that gets sometimes more creative. And I love the big budget cinematic universes and all of it, man. I want it all. And I'm really, really excited about this. So, and a Zen garden you can rake. Yes. I'd imagine it's going to have a lot of those things. But all right, guys. So before we wrap up here, Gatorade 23, the H2O despising game cat, says, "Sup, AJ? I must be living under a rock. Is Brian on vacay or something?" Yes, Brian is just on a short vacation. Everything is fine with him. He's on vacation this week. He needed a break. We figured it was going to be probably a little bit of a slow time, and also this. So doing these in the meantime, but things will return back to normal next week. We're back to Gamescast Live. But yeah, man, so that is it. Samurai Slaughterhouse confirmed launch title. Yeah, wow, this hour went by really fast. Really appreciate all you guys jumping in. Before we get out of here, if you guys have any questions, anything you want to discuss, let me have it. Now's the time to say it. Otherwise, you got to wait till Friday. But really appreciate all you guys for the support. Shout out to the newest Patreon supporters. Shout out to the old ones too, the ones that have been there from the beginning. And just all you guys for here watching now, all watching later. Really, really appreciate you guys. But I'll allow you guys a second to bring up anything. Nick Bulow says, list the top 50 best PSVR games real quick. Saints and Sinners, Resident Evil 7. No, Saints and Sinners, Astrobot. That's 2. You're going to be here a while. Saints and Sinners, Astrobot, Resident Evil 7, Song in the Smoke, Hitman 3, Dreams, Firewall. Okay, that's the best I could do. Farpoint. Thank you, virtual strangers. Nihilist Ryan says Brian is taking time off to play Resident Evil 4 on Quest. I would love to do that. Jen Eric says, AJ, I vaguely remember you saying you lived near or by a professional wrestler. Can you say who it was? Yes, it was Larry, the living legend Larry Zbyszko. Now, the younger people are not going to know who Larry Zbyszko is, but if you've ever heard of Bruno Sammartino, he was like basically his pupil, and then like ended up becoming like one of the first biggest heels because he betrayed him or something, or they had a feud. And yeah, Larry is a super nice guy. And because of him I went over to his house. He had kids my age, and I went over to his house and we played WCW versus NWO Revenge. And man, and that was like the coolest shit ever. Those wrestling games for N64 were the shit. They were so good. I kid you not. I'm not making this up. They were super cool. But yeah, he later on was a announcer for WCW. Him and why can't I remember their names? There's a guy here in Atlanta that's like super famous that is on radio stations and all sorts of stuff. He might be with like AEW now, but et.2k9.now with the $5 donation. Thank you so much, man. This is good job. Thank you, man. Appreciate you guys. Abstract Creation says, imagine multiplayer Sims VR, like a virtual world. Yeah, it could be pretty cool. Simulations, like first-person simulators, are like the most immersive things I can remember. But Genetic Blasphemy says, played Ghostbusters 3 times, short but sweet. I'm telling you, man, Ghostbusters with the aim controller is really good, really immersive, and it just shows you why we should have had like 5 Ghostbusters games in the first year. But that's okay. There's still time. There is still hope. I'm gonna go see that movie too. I'm gonna go see that movie in theaters November 19th. I'm really excited. I haven't been in the movies in like years. Shades of Gray Matter says, what's the one feature you're looking forward to the most on PSVR 2? Oh man. That is a good question because there's so many things. Obviously the controllers are one of them. I'm really hoping that there is a movie theater app where we can watch movies together. I know that's kind of a simple one, but I mean, like I said, the interactive UI, there's a lot of things, there's a lot of features, Shades, that I don't know yet. I'm excited about, I guess if we're going by features that we know about, obviously resolution stuff, the controllers are going to be great, but a focus on AAA hybrids, a focus on, games having hybrid VR modes, that is something that really excites me because that says that gives me the potential to play Returnal in VR, or a lot of these other games. That is probably the thing I'm most excited about, is some of these remasters and hybrid games. Blue Jew the Underground Game Cat says, I love Six Flags Over Georgia. Very hilly, though. It'll get your legs. Yeah, Six Flags Over Georgia is really fun. Pretty cool stuff. Virtual Strangers has heard of Zabisco. That dude is so knowledgeable. That's why I love you, Wes. Secret Sub says, yes, he's loving RE4 on the Quest. I haven't bought it yet, but I'm going to. It is on my to-do list for sure. Kevin Tech says, AJ, do you think Drive Club VR will live on PSVR 2? Maybe a higher resolution? It'd be cool. I don't think there's, the problem with Drive Club is I don't think it did well flat either. It didn't do well flat screen and obviously not VR, because they got shut down and closed down hard. So I don't think it looks great. What I can tell you is that Gran Turismo 7 will likely be a PSVR launch title, or it will be a PSVR 2 title. I guarantee it. I promise you it will be. Kazunori Yamauchi has talked about Gran Turismo 7 a bunch in VR and talked about his excitement for it. So whether it's launch or not, I would expect it to be a launch game. The only reason it wouldn't be a launch game is because it's Gran Turismo, and there's always some kind of delays. Also, I think there's going to be a huge boost in VR driving games, driving sims. Wipeout Omega Collection is a great example. Dirt is a great example. We will probably see maybe another Dirt. Well, Codemasters is now shaken up a little bit, but we'll get more racing games. I think we'll get more this time. You're very welcome, Generic. Thank you for asking. And yes, Tony Schiavone, thank you. That's who I was thinking. Love the character creations. Yes, I always had my character AJ Chaos. It was WCW No Mercy, or WWF No Mercy was the N64 game where you could create your characters. Nihilus Ryan, Ace Combat 7. Oh my God. Yeah, Ace Combat 8 or whatever would be awesome. That's one of the hybrids that I'm really, really looking forward to. Shades of Grey Matter says, can we get a shout out for Backlog Club in the Discord? This week's game is Moss. Yes. In our Discord, make sure you join it down. I think it's in my About page. You make sure you join our Discord. We have the best community ever. It's you should join us. And they have a backlog thing where they kind of there's multiplayer groups, there's backlog groups. Get in on all the fun. Looper the Game Cat says Playroom VR had a great Ghostbusters minigame. That's true. I was thinking about that earlier. Playroom VR does have a really cool Ghostbusters type game, and if you got somebody in the house with you, you can play local co-op, and it's pretty cool. It's a lot of fun. It's also pretty short, but it is definitely like one of the better PSVR experiences you can have. Guyson says there's a post-credit scene for Ghostbusters Afterlife. Oh, is there now? Cool. Thank you for the heads up on that, Guyson. Fist bump to you. All right, let's see what else we got here. Kevin Tech mentions PlayStation Home. A PlayStation Home would be awesome if that made a return, especially in VR, man. A lot of things can make a comeback and have VR and do some damage. Some of these things would be really, really cool. Abstract Gamer, thank you so much for the donation. Says, how long do you think it'll be till there's full-length VR movies and TV shows, if ever? I think we're way off from that. VR definitely stretches beyond gaming, although to me, gaming is what's going to make it go mainstream. Is gaming. That's the thing that people will connect with, and most people, without gaming, most people wouldn't really. The mainstream is probably not gonna have an interest as much in VR. It's the games. You look at the meta showcase. Out of all that stuff, that sounded really awesome. I think really cool, really ambitious. everybody's talking about San Andreas. The one little thing he threw out there. That's what got people the most excited. Because, all that other stuff is great, but we need the games first and foremost. It's like liking a PlayStation because it plays Netflix. I mean, that's cool and all. But that's not usually why you buy a PlayStation. You usually buy a PlayStation because of the games. And I think we're way off from full-length VR movies and TV shows. However, there are some cool experiences you can go into Dreams and check out. Different artistic pieces, different movie types of stuff. So, Genetic Blasphemy, the reverse engineered game cat, says, for this lively after party, AJ, big old thank you for the solo shows. Thank you guys for supporting these. What up, Mad Max, the metaverse game cat? I see meta, and he shows up. What's up, dude? Is AIM 2, Roy Schwartz asks, is AIM 2 possible? Yeah, an AIM 2.0 is very possible. But yeah, just leave it at that. It is a possibility though. But yeah, man. So yeah, Andrew Drinkwater says AIM 2 inevitable. I reckon you'd have to imagine it's inevitable. Would like it with some more. That'd be an interesting one to have some maybe the finger detection tech on there, maybe some other stuff. But Chen Miaozo says, "Yo, I'm late. Gonna start from the beginning." Gotta start from okay. I want San Andreas. Diz the Game Cat did not like the spiral update on Synth Riders. I think so. I really like it, but I do think it's more challenging than it is fun. With the spiral update, I think it's more of a challenge than it is a like really fun, exciting time. The spin mode is I find to be a little bit more fun, even though that can still get kind of crazy. The spin mode has a little bit more fun factor, but I love I'm down with the spiral mode. I'm down with all the crazy stuff. Dark Angel says, other than PT, any title one already owns that one should never delete because you can't get them back. Let's see. I actually have a hard drive in storage with PT on it. Man, I saw Adam Orth, the guy that actually created Firewall, worked with helped create Firewall, worked with Call of Duty before. Of course, him and Shabs make Firewall are two big leads over there. He was just straight up tweeting at Sony saying, bring PT to, he was like, just give PT VR support, damn it. And I was like, yeah. I will say, though, I think Hideo Kojima will bring something to PSVR 2 eventually that will either be super cool and very Kojima-ish or will be something that absolutely scares the shit out of us. I think he's going to accomplish something like that. I would love to play Death. I've been waiting. I hope Death Stranding gets VR support. I would love to play that. If not, I will eventually cave and play it flat some. But I really like when it comes to flat games, as much as I can still enjoy them, it only took 3 years to start enjoying non-VR games again. I get bored after like 2-3 hours at most. It is hard. The only thing I've ever been able to complete that was non-VR since 2017 was the Final Fantasy VII remake, because that's my favorite game of all time. Kevin Tech says we wouldn't need an AIM 2 if we had PC VR type gun sticks for the orbs. Those gun stick things, I have not heard the greatest things about it, so I'm not sure. I'm not sure the stick stuff is the solution. I know there's been a couple out there, but I don't know for sure if they're any good. Nobody on the PC side has ever said that one of those solutions is better than the AIM controller. So that I definitely think is what that is. All right, guys. Well, my voice is starting to go, but thank you so much. Diz, you didn't try the spin mode. You got to do spin mode. We got to play some time again, man. Guys, thank you so much to tuning in to another interactive chat. This was a lot of fun, man. And if I wasn't losing my voice, I could keep going for longer. But I'll look and we'll have, basically, if there's any news, then we'll cover any news topics on on Friday's show. And if not, then we'll bring some good discussions to the table and go there. So, guys, have a wonderful night. Thank you so much to all of you tuning in now, tuning in later. Thank you again to newest Patreons, Looper and Dark Thoughts. And then thank you to Patreon leaders, Josh and Cynthia, and everyone else who supports me over there. Hope to be doing this, bringing you full-time content all the time, every single day, especially when PSVR 2 drops. That's going to be big. So you guys have a wonderful rest of the night. Happy hump day. Go get your hump on, and I'll see you on Friday, if not sooner. Later, y'all.